What are the top 5 rivalries in college football? This one will be controversial. I'm going to start exactly where you think I'd start, but I've got different criteria for these sorts of things. So I care about what it means nationally. I care about how rabid and intense it is. I care about the ramifications. Does it mean something outside of just that rivalry, those two programs? But then there's also this other attachment that I have. I love the nuance. Sometimes you can't have both. Sometimes you can't have a big national rivalry and the nuance. And I love trophies. Love them. So there's going to be a healthy mixture from that criteria in this top 5. Number 1, it's pretty obvious. It's Michigan, Ohio State. I grew up in the South. A lot of people would counter with what number 2 is, which is the Iron Bowl. The reason I always sided with Ohio State, Michigan is because I thought those are 2 national brands, whereas Bama versus Auburn is a national brand and a more regional brand. That's it. Iron Bowl's plenty intense. I've been to a number of them. But I got to go to that game for the first time last year, and that's pretty intense too. So the number 2 game, this 2010 footage we're showing, by the way. The late Philip Lutzenkirchen with the touchdown catch there. And then the kick 6. So Iron Bowl clearly number 2. Man, this thing's really, really special, really unique. Someone asked me earlier today, it's going to be put in a future episode, what's the most impressive singular performance I've witnessed in person? It actually comes from this game. It comes from the Iron Bowl. But we're not going to talk about that tonight. But yeah, been to several of those, always delivers. I mean, even this past year, when you expect a blowout, it always delivers. All right, the number 3 game I also got to experience for the first time this past year, and it was Texas, Oklahoma. Now, I'll be truthful with you, before this past year, I did not rank this game as high, but it was out of ignorance. I had not experienced it before. When I went to the game, I got it. It just kind of, all the stuff I'd heard about the game that I used to think was hyperbole, it was real. It clicked. It helps that I saw an instant classic, highest scoring Red River shootout game in history. We have enough respect for the rivalry to call it by its real name, by the way. So OU Texas is my number 3 game. Now, I told you when I went there, it's a little bit different. They don't play Bama Auburn at Legion Field anymore. They don't play Ohio State Michigan at a neutral site. So this is a true neutral site game. It's like the Big 12's equivalent, for now the Big 12, of Georgia, Florida, and Jacksonville. So it's a beautiful setting. Love it. Love everything about Red River Shootout. Speaking of which, the number 4 game is that Jacksonville special every year. It is Georgia. It is Florida. We'll call this one the cocktail party. Again, we don't care how sanitized it's become. Here at Pate State, we believe in tradition, and we believe in calling your rivalry game what God intended the rivalry game to be called. In this case, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I never partake because I'm inside doing the Lord's work, and I am doing work for you. You know, someone's got to go stand on the sidelines and watch these games, and so I will gladly bear that burden for you. This one's really intense, really chippy, really personal. A lot of these kids grew up across across the 2 state lines. Border rivalries are always great, but this one always has added, obviously, implications of the SEC East. Been to several of these, grew up watching it. So number 4, Georgia, Florida. Now, insert a little bit of controversy. And this is personal preference, so deal with it. My number 5 rivalry game is Iowa, Minnesota. Floyd of Rosedale is my favorite trophy in college football. Nay, my favorite trophy in sports. It's just a pig to some of you, but it's the pig to me. Even better than Babe. Floyd of Rosedale, and because of Floyd of Rosedale being on the line, hanging in the balance, constitutes, look at him, he's so beautiful. Floyd of Rosedale is so great. This is my number 5 rivalry game. Shout out to anyone out there who can secure us either a mini replica of Floyd of Rosedale or just a life-size Floyd of Rosedale. Because if you don't think I would bump that Academy mini tent for a Floyd of Rosedale, at least for a show, you're kidding yourself. Academy means a lot to me. So does Floyd of Rosedale. For a kid who grew up in Georgia, I think I may love Floyd of Rosedale more than any other citizen in the history of the Peach State. So there's the 5 there. Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama, OU, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and Iowa, Minnesota. Minnesota, for the record, leads that series 62-51-2. I believe there should be no ties. You can't cut Floyd in half. That would be called butchery. I believe that Floyd should go 100% to one side or the other.